Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of Innovative EdTech. Just give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I've got some volume here. So, a bit stressed there for a moment. Anyway, welcome to episode 26 of Innovative EdTech. It is lovely to have you here with us this evening. If you are joining us live, if you're joining us on the recording on YouTube, it is lovely to see you as well. Anyway, welcome to episode 26, EdTech on a budget. Budget-friendly tools every teacher should know about. So tonight is a great episode. I know I say that every time, but tonight we're going to have a look at some tools that you might be using, you might not have actually ever thought about before, but some tools that have some really great kind of free plans and some obviously upgradable options if you'd like to look at investing in those. We're also going to share some tips and tricks tonight to thinking about the tools that you might like to invest in and those tools that might actually be beneficial for your particular context, your students, and what you are doing, and for the particular purpose that you are doing it. So let's dive in to episode 26, EdTech on a budget. Budget-friendly tools, excuse me, I'm losing my voice there. Budget-friendly tools every teacher should know about. All right, so what are we going to have a look at in just under the next hour for episode 26? So in this episode, we are going to go and explore these 5 budget-friendly EdTech tools that we're going to share with you tonight. We're just going to share 5 tools with you. We know that there are so many tools out there, but these are 5 budget-friendly tools that are going to actually help enhance teaching, improve engagement, and also save you valuable planning time. We're going to have a look at how we can evaluate educational technology so that we can actually confidently choose tools that offer genuine value. So we don't just want to be going out there and subscribing to tools for no purpose. We want to actually be going out there and subscribing to tools that have genuine value. We're going to explore some practical strategies. We're going to provide you with some tips to reduce those costs associated with EdTech and making the most of some of those free and low-cost resources that are available for you out there in the marketplace. And then finally, we'll wrap up tonight by just sharing with you some of those different ways that you can stay connected with us here, because we do love to be part of your EdTech journey, and we want to just share some different ways that you can continue that with us here. Anyway, let's not dilly-dally. Let's try and get in, and I will definitely promise to try and make this under 60 minutes tonight. We're going to really, really work hard. So why does budget-friendly EdTech matter? All right, budget-friendly EdTech really matters in 2026. It is something that you need to be thinking about. Not everybody might be in this sweet position where we are working in a school or a department or a system where we have copious amounts of funds to be able to go out there and explore these different EdTech tools. All right. Sometimes there's lots of different policies and procedures, and there's restrictions and things that are placed on accessing tools, which means that sometimes you might have to personally invest in these, and that can also be quite overwhelming as well. So let's go and think about why exploring this idea of budget-friendly EdTech actually matters in 2026. So technology, it's a great tool. You know I love it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. But technology should support great teaching. It is something that I have spoken about many, many times. Technology is not here to replace you or I. It's not here to replace your role as a teacher to, provide those explicit lessons and experiences and develop those skills with our young people. Technology shouldn't replace that, okay? It is here to support what we're doing, all right? It is not to replace what we're doing. It is to support what we're doing in the classroom as educators. So technology shouldn't do the following, all right? Technology shouldn't create financial stress. All right. So if you're thinking about whether you're having devices, which honestly should not be your responsibility anyway, or whether you're going to be going and able to access some of these really cool EdTech tools that are available in the marketplace, it shouldn't be creating financial stress. You shouldn't be worrying about all of this cash that you are burning through investing in these different tools. That is a big no-no. It also shouldn't require dozens of subscriptions. Am I guilty of subscribing to numerous EdTech tools and not really utilizing them? Absolutely. Have I learned? Absolutely. Am I here tonight to also tell you about some of my experiences and also some of my tips? You've got it. All right. Because I'm not here to just plead and preach to you. I actually want you to take something beneficial home from what we're exploring in this episode. Also, technology shouldn't become another thing on your to-do list. All right. It shouldn't be something that we have to add, something we have to spend, a ridiculous amount of time setting up or using or, customizing for whatever purpose we have. Sometimes, yes, some tools will require a little bit of customization, a little bit of setup. But if you are using these tools strategically and consistently, that investment, even in time, is something that is going to be so rewarding further on down the track. Excuse me. I've been a little bit sick lately, so I might sound a bit croaky tonight. So if I do have to go off and cough, I apologize for that. Okay, so what should good edtech look like? All right, so we've got what edtech should not look like. All right, but what should good edtech look like? So good edtech should look like something that is going to save you time. All right, it's going to save you some kind of time in some kind of capacity to help you become an even more efficient and effective educator. It should also improve student learning outcomes. There must be a point, there must be a purpose behind utilizing an EdTech tool, not just utilizing it for the fun of it. There should be some kind of reason. And we're obviously looking to improve our student learning outcomes. All right, good ed tech should also increase engagement. All right, so I've got a great example that I'll probably, hopefully, remember to share with you tonight about this idea of engagement. And I will tell you about it a little bit later. I'm not going to spoil that one just yet. But good ed tech should increase engagement. All right, good ed tech should also reduce your workload. All right, so you should be able to find systems and workflows that mean you might be able to reuse an activity that you have created using one of these tools over and over again, or you might be able to clone it or duplicate it so that you can customize it for your different year groups or your classes or whatever you have, reducing that need to continuously create something from scratch. So that's something that good edtech should absolutely do. And finally, good edtech should be sustainable. All right. It should be something that you are going to use, that you aren't just going to pay for 12 months, use it once, and then go, do you know what? I didn't use it as effectively as I wanted to. That's not being sustainable. That's not making sure that we are using, sometimes your funds as an educator, as a human, and being sustainable with what we have. So good ed tech is really valuable in the classroom, but we need to think about why we're utilizing that ed tech and what's the purpose behind that educational technology and what we want to achieve from utilizing and subscribing and, implementing that into our classrooms. So just remember that the most expensive tool isn't always the best tool. Now, you are probably as guilty as I am. You will see something come up on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. You will see a brand new tool appear. It might be an AI tool. It might be some kind of, um, storyboarding tool. It might be something creative. It might be, who knows what it is, but there's always new tools popping up in the marketplace. And you might be someone like me, go, oh, I really want to look at that and investigate that. That's kind of my job. So I do have to do that. But just remember that sometimes those brand new tools, those new tools that might be a little bit more expensive, aren't always the best tools for the jobs, for the roles, for the purposes that you're actually thinking about. So I want you to be thinking about the fact that just because you see this pretty, piece of software or this pretty application or this pretty tool, that it's going to be the best fit for your particular purpose. So just remember that the most expensive tool isn't always going to be the best tool and the right tool for what you actually need it for. So before you go out there and you spend your hard-earned money or you go and spend your faculty's budget or your independent classroom budget or whatever you have, I want you just to take a second. Just put the handbrakes on, okay? And I just want you to take a second and I want you to just breathe. all right, before you actually go and press that button that commits to purchasing a particular tool. So one of our biggest mistakes, and we've just kind of alluded to this, is that we often subscribe to something before we dive in there and explore it. Am I guilty of this? Yes, I am. Okay. And I am so guilty of seeing those Black Friday or Cyber Monday kind of deals and things that all of these particular EdTech companies they pop out there on the marketplace because they want to get you as a subscriber. Okay. They want to capture you because they know that they're probably going to go out there, get you to subscribe for 12 months. You're probably going to forget that you've subscribed to this tool. And then 12 months later, boom, there's a brand new charge for another 12 months. And you know, these tools, they've worked out that they don't do pro rata refunds for things anymore. If you've committed to 12 months, you've committed to 12 months. So before we go out there and we actually subscribe to something, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Okay. I want you to stop. I want you to think. Okay. Take a few seconds. I have become really good at actually not purchasing and making a decision on the spot. I will take some time, consider, and sometimes I'll talk myself out of what I'm looking at or what I'm thinking about, going, do I need it right now? Is there something else that I could use? But there's also some great tips at the end of this episode that will also help you out with these situations. So let's go and have a think about some of these things that we need to think about before we commit to subscribing or purchasing any type of EdTech tool. Okay, so the first one here, what problem am I trying to solve? And there is a typo on that screen there, which is absolutely hilarious. So what problem are you trying to solve? Are you trying to implement something? Are you trying to provide students with some kind of tool to help them develop a skill? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What is the problem you're wanting to kind of explore with this piece of EdTech? Okay, so that is the very first thing I want you to think about. Okay, the next question I want you to ask yourself is, will this save me time every week? So if you are using this tool consistently, is it going to save you time? Okay, if it's not going to save you time, what's the point of investing and subscribing into it? Okay, so is this tool actually going to be beneficial for me moving forward? Yes, no, maybe. We need to consider and we need to reflect on this a little bit more. Okay, the next one here. Ask yourself, will this particular tool actually benefit my students? Okay, will my students actually benefit from this tool? All right. And as I said, I've got a really great example, which I'm going to talk to you about when we're talking about some of our tools tonight, because I actually explored this particular idea with a pre-service, a university student that I recently had in my classroom working with me. And a lot of these particular questions were different things that I was talking to her about and getting her to think about when we were actually investing in a tool that we've got tonight to talk about. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that because, is this tool actually going to benefit my students? Again, yes, no, maybe. I might need to think about this a little bit deeper before I commit to anything. Okay, again, ask yourself, can this tool do something that another tool that I can already do for free? If so, then maybe it is not the right tool, or maybe it is not a tool worth investing my hard-earned cash in, my budget, whatever I have, it might not be the right tool for me. And finally, the final question that I want you to think about and ask yourself before subscribing to any tool is this one. Will I still be using this tool in 6 months? This is such an important question, and I think it's something that we don't think about, because if you are committing to a 12-month subscription, a 12-month contract, essentially, with one of these tools, are you just going to use it as a one-off, or are you going to use it consistently and systematically and regularly over that 12 months, or is it just something you're going to use once or twice? So are you going to still be using this tool in 6 months' time if you are making the financial investment in subscribing to that tool for a 12-month period? So here are 5 really important questions that I want you to think about if you're considering investing in any EdTech tool. All right. I'm not saying don't invest in these tools, but I want you to think very, very carefully about when, where, and how you're going to use these tools and whether that investment is actually going to be something that is worth it. So if you answer, I'm not sure to any of these questions, okay? So if you're on the fence, you're not committing to yes or no, you're kind of there in the middle, okay? I want you to remember this, okay? Don't subscribe just yet, all right? So if you're not quite sure, if you can't provide a definitive yes or no response to these 5 questions, I want you to stop, okay? Stop, stop, stop. Do not subscribe. No, 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 okay? Because I want you to take some time. I want you to think. I want you to reflect before you make that buying decision. Now, I know that these marketers, these companies, they are using all different kinds of tools and tricks and psychological and psychoanalytical and all of that kind of stuff to convince you to buy. But I want you to put that to the side and I want you to stop and think before you subscribe to anything. Okay, that's the most important thing there. So, I've just talked to you about some of the reasons why we need to think about whether we're going to look at a tool and whether we're going to make a financial investment in actually utilizing that tool. But tonight, I actually want to present 5 budget-friendly EdTech tools to you. All right, as I mentioned earlier, these might be tools that you've used before. These might be tools that you have never heard of, but you are now a little bit curious about. These might be tools that you have in your EdTech toolkit or that might end up in your EdTech toolkit. But there are lots and lots of different tools out there on the market, all right? And obviously here with our YouTube channel, we are trying to share different tools with you. We're trying to provide you with a whole different swag of ways that you can use these tools. And we're not saying go out there and subscribe to every tool, all right? And again, I've got some tips and tricks and some actual personal kind of suggestions on what I do when it comes to looking at EdTech tools myself and whether I invest in those. So there are thousands of tools out there. We know that there are tools coming out every single day, okay? You don't need them all. You definitely do not need them all, right? If I'm honest here, I think probably one of the biggest challenges at the moment in our world is when it comes to educational AI platforms, because they are just appearing like no tomorrow. We can make your slides, we can make your worksheets. There are so many of them that are appearing. And yes, they definitely do make your life easier. They can be a really handy assistant. They can improve your workflows. They can make you more efficient, more effective, which means you are spending more time, catering for your students and the diversity of students in our classes. But sometimes we actually need to sit back and say, even though there are 5 different tools there, they essentially do the same thing. So maybe you go out there and explore those. You find one that's just going to be perfect for you, and then that's the one that you might invest in. So don't think you have to go out there and you have to invest in every single one of these tools. Please don't do that. Okay. I've been there. All right. I've been teaching for 16 years. I've done this. I have spent hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands of dollars each year subscribing to tools. All right. I don't want you to do this. I want you to think about this and be strategic with what you're going to invest in because you work really hard. We are really dedicated as educators. And I don't want you spending your hard earned money on something for young people who may not care, who may not actually appreciate it. There's lots of other things I would rather you spend your money on and go out there and enjoy these things. All right. But definitely, I'm not saying don't support your students. Absolutely. But we're just going to do this in a way that's really strategic and thoughtful so that we're actually going to be, we're going to be financially conscious and careful and strategic when it comes to ourselves because you are number one. You are number one. Okay. Our students are our second, but you are number one. All right. So that's enough of my little, TEDx kind of TED talk there. Let's jump in. So we're going to have a look at 5 practical budget-friendly tools tonight, okay? These 5 tools can help save you time. They can boost student engagement. They can enhance those learning outcomes without stretching our budget. And all of the tools tonight do have free options. All of these tools also do have paid upgrades and paid kind of premium options. But again, it's up to you to decide whether those tools are going to be the best tools for you to actually decide whether you're going to invest in those. So what I want you to do as we go through these 5 tools is I want you to think about which tools, and which of these are just 5 tools, remember, which of them best support your teaching goals rather than simply adding another app to your toolkit. All right. I don't want you to go out there and add another tool that you are not going to use. All right. I just want you to think about these tonight. You might need to go and investigate these a little bit more after tonight's episode so that you can actually find out what's going to work for you, your classroom, your student, your context, your background, whatever, you need to think about. I want you to think about that. So as it says here on the screen, sometimes the best technology is the one that you'll actually use. All right. So I'm going to tell you about some tools that I invest in. I don't invest in many. There's a couple of tools that I have absolutely continuously invested in. And I'll tell you why I invest in these tools. All right. They're not the 5 tools that we're going to explore tonight, but I will honestly tell you why these tools are tools that I am happy to subscribe to each year. All right, so let's dive into our very first budget-friendly EdTech tool tonight. And this one is something that if you've been around for a while, you'll know that I love this tool. And you're going to think, Tristan, you are ridiculous when I click this button here to change slides, because you're just going to think, Tristan, you are just an absolute hoot. And you think you are far funnier than you are. The first one is Canva, and here's my joke. Here's my little connection. You know I'm a Canva lover, and I do use Canva here for our innovative EdTech presentations. In fact, Canva is the basis of every design element that I pretty much create here. So it is my platform of choice, and it is a reason why I love Canva and why I invest in Canva. So I invest in that through my business, okay? But it is a tool that I think is so valuable. And this is also why I love Canva, because Canva are so supportive of educators and schools and teachers that you can actually access Canva and all of those pro elements. And these are those elements that I am paying for. And I'm obviously using them for a business perspective. So that's why I pay for it. But Canva for Education is so valuable for you as an educator. So Canva, we know it is that free design platform. And if you are an eligible educator, you can actually access Canva for Education. And I see lots of different schools and districts and departments and things like that now actually accessing Canva, because you can access Canva and all of those pro features for absolutely nothing, which is what makes it a really valuable tool. So we know that Canva is perfect to help create presentations, worksheets, videos, posters, classroom resources. We know that Canva has thousands and absolutely a truckload of different templates. Canva has a huge swag and a continuously evolving swag of AI features. And all of these different elements can help you produce professional quality resources in mere moments. Okay. Really, you're only limited by your imagination. Trust me. Okay. I have recently created some templates which will be available very soon. And I can tell you that, you are only limited by what you can think of. All right. So Canva is a really great tool that you can be using and accessing for absolutely nothing. So Canva is free for eligible educators. And as I said, it is also accessible for different schools, departments. Just check with, your local school and department and district and all those kind of things to see if you can access Canva, because I know there's lots of places around the globe where, lots of different policies and all different kinds of reasons why Canva is not accessible. But Canva is available for you if you are eligible for absolutely free. So what is Canva for Education great for? Okay, so here are 8 different reasons, and this is only 8 different reasons why Canva for Education is a great tool. It's a great tool to create posters, presentations, what I'm doing right now, videos, worksheets, infographics. You can create social media posts, certificates, classroom displays. Again, the world is your oyster when it comes to Canva. There are so many different things that you can create and use Canva for that you are only limited by what you can think of up here in your brain hole. Okay, so why is Canva for Education worth exploring? So we've already talked about a couple of these in a little intro to tool number 1. So there are thousands of ready-made templates, all right? So there are lots of different templates which you can utilize there. You can create your own. I have a whole heap of templates available here for you as well on my website, okay? So you can go and access those templates which have been created for you. So again, straight away, we're reducing that need to use that time. We're being time efficient, saving us time, improving our workflow, all of those different things. All right, Canva, as I mentioned, have a swag and a continually growing swag of AI-powered Magic Studio features. And there's another typo there. I should not really not do these when I've just woken up in the morning. So they do have lots of really amazing Magic Studio features. There's a little asterisk just there because I just wanted to pop a little kind of caveat in there that some of these AI features may not be available depending on department, district policies. Okay, so I know this from personal experience where I work that these AI Magic Studio features are not available even to me as an educator because they don't meet the policies of my particular workplace. So just be aware that some of these may not work if you're using a school account or a district or a department account. But if you're using obviously an individual Canva for Education account, you should be able to access those. All right, it does have a huge education library, which is fantastic. There are lots of collaboration tools when it comes to Canva, and you can create something to use across every subject area, every year group. You can create this with Canva for Education. So that is why Canva is so, it is a tool that's worth investigating. So my little tip just here, all right? You may not realize that you already have access to Canva for Education, and maybe you don't actually realize just how much is included in this tool. If you haven't jumped into Canva and you haven't explored this, I can tell you that you are missing out. And Canva is continuously growing, getting bigger and better. It is just an all-powerful suite that could be something that is going to make your day so much easier as an educator. So there is tool number 1, Canva for Education. All right, let's dive over to tool number 2, and that is Storyboard That. And this is actually a pretty new tool that I have recently explored, and this is where my story time is going to come in a moment, and I'm going to tell you something about why this particular tool is a great tool to explore. So Storyboard That is a visual storytelling platform that enables students to create comics, storyboards, and graphic organizers. It is an engaging way to develop creativity, sequencing, comprehension, communication skills across. I was going to talk about a croissant there, but I'm not. Across a wide range of subjects and year levels. All right, there is so much that you can do with Storyboard That. But it's actually a tool that's worth exploring. All right. Okay. So Storyboard That is absolutely available on a free plan. All right. So it is available there for you to go and explore for absolutely nothing. Obviously, there are going to be limitations with what you can do, but it is a really great tool to get started with. And give me 1 second. I need to just. Sorry about that. I did tell you that I have been a little bit under the weather and I just needed to go and blow my nose. Bit embarrassing there, isn't it? Anyway, the realities of doing a live stream. All right, so back to what I was talking about. So they do have the free plans available. but they do have some really great affordable education plans. And this is something that really drew me to using Storyboard that recently with my university student. We bought a, well, I bought, but we purchased a subscription, a 1 month subscription to Storyboard. That we were so lucky that they had a really great deal on. So it cost me an absolute truckload of money. It cost me $1 for 1 month's access, and within that particular month, I got the full kind of swag of suites and everything that they included, and up to 200 students could use my particular account. So I thought for $1, it was a pretty good deal. So this is why I think Storyboard That is a really great tool to consider if you're looking for something, that is looking at comics or graphic organizers, or you're looking to create some kind of visual storytelling. It is a tool worth exploring. So what is Storyboard That perfect for? Okay, it is perfect to use in pretty much every single learning area and every single subject that we have in our schools. It is great for English. I'm an English teacher, so we used it for an English activity. All right, we were looking at graphic novels, so we used it to replicate some of those different features that we learned about from reading a graphic novel, and we used Storyboard that for this particular purpose. It would be great for history. There are lots of different historical characters, settings, lots of different things that you could talk about there. Maybe if you're doing something related to languages or cultures, you could look at Storyboard That. PDHPE, maybe looking at bullying or partying or growing up or becoming a teenager or something like that. You could use Storyboard That for that as well. Science, maybe you're looking at some kind of scientific theory, or you're trying to create a visual representation of science experiment. Maybe you could explore Storyboard That for that particular purpose. But I think Storyboard That is also great if you're looking at creating some of those social stories for some of those students that we might have that need to see those ideas being presented visually. Storyboard That is a really great tool. So that's just 6 examples just there of why Storyboard That is a perfect tool for you to consider using in whatever classroom you're teaching, whatever subject area you're teaching. You can use this particular tool in some kind of capacity. So what can we get our students to do with Storyboard That? So obviously, I was just talking about using it to replicate some of those different graphic novel type features that we had been exploring in the graphic novel that we had read in class. But here are just some other really simple ways that you could use Storyboard That. So we can get our students to retell stories. Maybe you've gone on an excursion or a field trip, or maybe you've got some kind of sporting activity. We can get our students to retell that particular story. We might get them to explain some concepts. Maybe you're in maths and you're explaining Pythagoras theorem, or how we're going to work out the area and perimeter of an oval or something like that. We could get them to use it to create a comic that's going to explain those concepts. We can demonstrate our understanding. We can create comics or graphic novels, which is what I did with my classes. And we can also plan those narratives and use some of that narrative structure to create something that is going to be really interesting and engaging. So Storyboard That is a really great tool that you could look at, and it's one that's worth considering, especially if they've got the $1 deal for that first month, because that gives you a really good chance to go and test it out and work on it. All right. And I was talking earlier about the fact that we want our tools to, lead to increased engagement. And I actually used this particular tool with, it was my year 10 class. And I remember, and I said to my university student, I said, they're probably going to come into class and hate this. They're probably going to come in here and they're going to put up every single barrier, and they're going to whinge and complain. And the only reason why I know this, obviously I've been teaching for, 16 years now, is because I know my students. I know when there's something new that they don't know, they straight away put that barrier up and they go, I can't do this. But the great things here is, I worked with my university student. We already had a plan. She jumped in there. She actually started to model how to use it. She showed the kids a sample that we put together where we actually incorporated one of my students into the story. And it was from that particular moment, the engagement just went through the roof. All right. And some of those kids that were so defiant to start with, and they were like, no, we are not doing this. I can't do this. Were actually some of the highest engaged students when we started to use it. They were in there, they were playing around, they were having some fun. This is what we're talking about when we're looking at engagement. All right. We don't want students to come in here and just, not engage with it in some capacity. We got a little bit out of this. All right. Would I have loved a little bit more? Absolutely. But I didn't spend that much money. So I wasn't too stressed about, the few things that we actually did get the students to create. I was absolutely gobsmacked and over the moon and quite impressed with what we achieved in the time that we had. So storyboard that, excuse me, is a really great tool to worth investigating. So why should you consider storyboard that? Well, it is great for visual storytelling. Okay, it helps those learners who struggle with traditional writing, but also whilst encouraging creativity and critical thinking. So storyboard that tool number 2 is definitely a tool that I would consider looking at and going in there and seeing if it's a tool that you could add to your EdTech toolkit. All right, let's head over to tool number 3, and this is Brisk Teaching. Now, Brisk is also available as an extension, a Chrome extension, which is a fantastic tool if you are somebody that uses and loves Chrome extensions. So Brisk Teaching is an AI-powered teaching assistant that integrates beautifully with Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 products to help educators create resources, differentiate learning, provide feedback, and streamline your lesson planning. All right. It does offer free versions, which offer practical tools that can help you save, which can help save you a truckload of time, because we want to save you time. We don't want your life to be complicated and messed up with all these different kinds of things. All right, so Brisk is available as a free version, and it is available through a Chrome extension, as I mentioned. There is obviously the Brisk website that you can go to as well. They do have premium upgrades available. All right, so if you're interested in those, just head over and check some of those out before you make that financial commitment and decision. So what are some of those different kind of AI features that Brisk offers? Okay, again, we can differentiate resources, and this is really great because obviously we can use Google Workspace tools and Microsoft 365. So if you're using those tools, Brisk might be something that you consider using, because we're not actually going to another tool to use Brisk, okay, because we're using that Chrome extension if you're using a Chrome browser. We can also look at creating and generating feedback using Brisk. We can create quizzes, all right? We can adjust those reading levels. We can write lesson content. We can translate materials. All of these different features are features that you'll find in pretty much every single AI tool that is out there in the marketplace. The real benefit and the real kicker when it comes to Brisk is obviously that beautiful integration with Google Workspace and Microsoft 365. So if you are using those platforms, Brisk might be something worth investigating and considering why this might be a tool that you'd like to go and explore a little bit further. So why do teachers love Brisk? Okay, so instead of replacing teachers, it actually helps teachers reclaim that valuable planning time, right? And as it mentions just here on the slide, start with that free version first. Go and test it out. Go and see if it's actually going to help you reclaim that planning time. And something here, and this is another story time for Tristan here, something else that I said to my pre-service university teacher when I had her recently was that I hate it when you have to switch between too many tools. Okay, so I kind of like to have everything that I need embedded or linked into my presentation. So this is why Brisk is something that kind of excites me, because I can be using Brisk while I have my presentation open. I don't actually have to go to another tool, to another tab, to another screen to be able to use these AI tools. Okay, and that is something that really, it tickles my fancy a little bit, because it makes me a little bit excited, because I really don't like spending time going from screen to screen. I find it wastes my time. That few seconds that it disengages the kids could be the few seconds that you lose them or something, crazy happens. So I'm thinking about making my life easier as an educator, and Brisk is an absolute, perfect nominee to be a tool that could save you a truckload of time and help you reclaim that valuable planning time and sometimes that limited planning time that we have as educators. So there is tool number 3, Brisk Teaching. So go and check it out if that's something that you might be, considering looking at, and see if it is a tool that you'd like to explore further. Okay, let's move on to tool number 4, and that is Google Forms. Now, I can hear somebody already saying, Tristan, Google Forms. Yes. And now the reason why I have specifically decided to select Google Forms here and not talk about Google Workspace is the benefit of what you can actually do with Google Forms. So obviously, if you have access to Google Workspace, you will have access to obviously docs, slides, sites, forms, sheets, all of the different tools that are available from Google. But the reason why I think Google Forms is a fantastic tool here is because it is a tool that is so versatile. All right. We can use it to create quizzes, surveys, assessments, exit tickets. We can do this quickly. We can do this with such ease that it's going to make your life as an educator so much easier. We can also use Google Forms to, have automatic marking, provide that instant feedback, and the integration with Google Classroom is what makes this particular tool such a reliable choice for efficient classroom assessment. All right. And this goes back to something I talked about in the previous tool about not wanting to, have to go to too many screens. If I can use a tool where I can actually create that tool as an assignment on Google Classroom, eliminating the need for my students to go and log into another tool, that is a big winner in my world. And this is something that you can do Google Forms if you are using Google Classroom regularly. So we know that obviously Google Forms is part of Google Workspace. If you have access to Google Workspace, you might just have a very kind of essential workspace, which is the basic. You might have different add-ons that are available depending on your particular department or district or workplace. So just be aware that there might be additional features there. But we definitely know that Google Forms is available for you through Google Workspace. So what is Google Forms? What's it good for? All right. It is great for self-marking quizzes. Yes, it is. It's great for some exit tickets. It's great if you want to, survey your students, your community, your peers, your colleagues. It's great for that. It's actually a really great tool for assessments, pre-assessments, post-assessments. It's a really simple tool that also helps with data collection, okay? And the information that you can get from this is actually really beneficial. We can also use Google Forms for digital escape rooms, which is not something that you may have thought of before. And I popped this one in here because obviously we do have a session with the Tech Ready Teacher Digital Conference looking at how we can actually create digital escape rooms using ChatGPT and Google Forms. So if you're interested in that, just head over to our website, tristanheron.com, and you'll be able to sign up for that particular conference, which is absolutely free. So there's lots of things you can do with Google Forms, and this is why it's such a useful, versatile tool, and it's why I have included it in this particular set and series of tools tonight. So Google Forms, it is a hidden superpower, and I think sometimes we don't necessarily think about Google Forms. We might not have necessarily explored it. It's something that is a super amazing tool that I really encourage you to go and explore. So we can use it for obviously automatic marking plus that instant student feedback. And combined with Google Classroom, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool at no additional cost. So Google Forms is a really powerful, super amazing. I cannot think of any more adjectives to describe this tool, but it is a tool that I love. I've used, I continue to use, and it is something worth going out there and playing around with, especially if you do have a Google Workspace account and checking out how you could use it in your classroom. Okay, let's move on to our final tool for this evening, which is Padlet. Now, Padlet is an oldie but a goodie, and it is a fantastic tool. So, Padlet is a collaborative digital notice board where teachers and students can share ideas, resources, images, videos, and reflections all in one place. It's ideal for brainstorming, discussions, group work, formative assessment, and building that collaborative learning experience of our classroom. So, straight away from this description, it is a pretty versatile tool that you could do lots with. All right, just like all of our tools tonight, it does have a free plan available. Again, there will be limitations and restrictions with how much you can use. But if you're interested, go and check out some of those affordable paid options to see if it might be a tool that you'd like to invest in. So, what are some of those ways that we could use Padlet? We talked about a few of these a moment ago. So, some of these brainstorming, okay, exit tickets, class discussions. You can create a digital notice board. It might be a resource collection. We might do some collaborative learning in small groups or pairs or a whole class or whatever you like. Again, it is only really limited by your imagination. So it is a really cool tool that you can use in a variety of different ways. All right. So why does it deserve a place in your toolkit? All right. So why should you go out there and think about, maybe exploring why Padlet is a tool that you might like to invest in if that's something that you desire? Three things. It's simple, it's flexible, and you can use it in pretty much every single year group across every single learning area. Again, you are only limited by your imagination. Okay. So, Padlet, go and jump over onto the website, go and sign up, see what you can do, and see if it is a tool that might be right for what you are looking for right now. So there we go. There are 5 tools, all right? All of these tools have free elements. All of these tools obviously have paid additional options which you can invest in. But you can see that there are lots of tools out there, all right? As we mentioned earlier, there are thousands of tools that you could explore. But tonight we've just provided you with 5, okay? 5 tools that we think are worth investigating. So what makes a tool worth paying for? If we're going to go out there and we've gone and we've tested and we've tried and we've explored, what makes a tool worth paying for? All right. This is something that I want you to think about. So a paid subscription, if you're going to go out there and you're going to subscribe to a tool, should do at least one of these 5 things. Okay. It should save you significant planning time. It should help improve student learning outcomes. It should increase engagement. It should replace multiple other subscriptions, and it should provide features unavailable elsewhere. All right. So if you're going to go and financially invest in a subscription, it should do at least one of these things. If the tool that you're looking for doesn't do one of these 5 things just here up on the slides, keep looking. Do not press that button to confirm your payment. There will be something else out there in the marketplace that will probably help you answer one, if not more, of these 5 questions or these 5 statements and these 5 reasons about whether or not you should actually make that investment in a tool. Okay, so just think about that. All right, what makes a tool worth paying for? It should do at least one of these 5 things. Okay, we are so close to the end. Let's try and get this completed as quickly as possible because these 10 tips are going to hopefully help save you money on EdTech. Okay, so we're going to go through these and I'm going to go through and explain these to you. So I'm going to actually not do something I normally do. I'm going to put all 10 up at once. Oh, that's crazy, Tristan. What have you done there? Okay, so here are 10 smart ways to save you money on EdTech. All right, number one, always start with that free version. Okay, go and check out all of the different features that are available in a free version before you actually upgrade. That is the very first thing that you need to do. Okay, number two, only subscribe when a genuine need exists. So don't just go out there and buy a tool because it's popular or you get a really sweet deal, 50% off for 12 months. Only subscribe when a genuine need exists. Okay. Tip number two, so important. Tip number three, compare several alternatives. Okay. So there is almost another option available out there in the marketplace that isn't worth investigating. All right. If there is a tool that you think is something that you'd love to investigate or you'd like to find out more about, hey, let me know and I will investigate it. I'll create an innovative ed tech episode about it. I'll show you. I'll do that for you if you'd like me to. All right. But just remember that there will generally be several different alternatives that you might like to consider before you look at investing in one of these. Okay, so invest in tools that you will use every week. All right, so don't just choose a tool because it's the latest fashion. Okay, if you're not using it daily or weekly, it's probably not going to provide you that return on investment that you are looking for. All right, number five, avoid duplicate subscriptions. So, for example, if you have a subscription to Canva, all right, do you need another video creation platform? No, you don't. Okay, unless there is a particular element that is really specific that Canva doesn't offer, for example, then you might consider that. But if Canva, provides you what you need, don't go and subscribe to something that is just duplicating those particular services and features that you already have. Okay, number six, take advantage of educated discounts. Yes, a lot of these companies do offer free educator licenses or heavily discounted education pricing. But again, do not subscribe to everything. All right. Go back to obviously tip number four there. Invest in tools that you're going to use regularly and for a purpose. Okay. Number seven here, trial one subscription at a time. So use it properly before you move on to the next shiny tool. Don't jump in there, subscribe to 15 tools at once. It's too much. It'll be too much for you. It'll be too much for me. Okay. I've been teaching for 16 years. I've been here presenting to you for nearly 6 years. Okay. Don't go out there and invest in all these different tools at once. It's going to be too much. Okay. Number eight, ask colleagues what they actually use. So if you have colleagues that are really big on using EdTech, and I hope that you are using educational technology in some form or fashion, go and have a look at some of those real experiences and think about how you can actually utilize these tools in your own classroom space. Okay, number nine here is review your subscriptions every school holidays. Okay, so cancel anything that you haven't used recently. All right, so a tip here, and this is a completely off-script tip. If I have a tool that I have, purchased, and I've got another tip coming up soon, and I know that I'm not going to continue to use this, but I purchased it for a month. I will go and cancel it as soon as I pretty much subscribe to it. So I'll let the payment go through. I'll have my month, my 30 days or whatever they give me, and then I'll go and cancel that so I don't forget about it and then get charged again for it the next month. Okay, so continuously review those subscriptions so that you're not paying for something that you're not using. And finally, tip number 10 here is focus on solving problems, not collecting tools. All right. So technology should make teaching easier. It should make your life easier. It should make, our students more engaged in the classroom. It's not about making things more complicated. All right. We do not want that. Your job, my job is so difficult as it is. So going out there and collecting tools that we're not using and spending money on things that we're not actively using is not going to be beneficial for you or your students. So just there are 10 really simple and important ways that you can save money on EdTech, and you can start this today. All right. Okay, so some questions I want you to think about. All right, before you subscribe to any single tool, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Will this tool save me time? Is it easy to learn? Will my students enjoy using it? Can it work across multiple year groups? Is the company regularly updating the platform? Does it integrate with tools I already use? And will I still find value next year? Right? So I want you to ask yourself these questions every time you're exploring or looking at a brand new EdTech tool. Okay. So there's one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 questions that I want you to ask yourself. If several answers for those 7 questions are no, I want you to keep your money. I want you to save that money and go and buy something special for you. And if you know me, I'm a Lego lover. I absolutely love Lego. You can see some on the shelf behind me just there. You know, if my tools that I'm looking at subscribing to for my kids aren't answering some of these, I want to spend that money on my Lego collection. Okay. So I want you to stop. I've talked about this. Take a second, breathe. Okay. I want you to think about whether this tool is actually going to be beneficial for you. And if you go and ask yourself these several questions and most of the answers are no, I want you to save your money. All right, so very quickly, so we can wrap up. I think we're going to be slightly over time, but that's okay because we've done a pretty good job tonight. So, my personal approach, all right, I'm not here saying do not subscribe to anything, all right? I am definitely not saying that. I want you to take a little bit more of a disciplined approach to what you subscribe to. Okay, so this is my approach. All right, I now and I'll be honest, I was definitely not like this when I first started teaching, but now I really subscribe to something immediately. Okay. I think about the following things. I'll look at the free version first. All right. Is it going to, do what I need it to do? I'll go and watch demos. I'll go and check out YouTube. All right. You're here with myself and Innovative EdTech. We've got a whole YouTube channel with all different kinds of things that you can go and explore and watch. This is what we're doing this for. We want to help you with this educational technology and this process. You might trial a tool with 1 or 2 classes and storyboard that, which I obviously utilized recently. Originally, I was going to trial that with 2 classes. I did only end up trialing it with 1 class, but there's been other tools that I have used where I have used it across multiple year groups because I want to get the best bang for my buck. All right, I think about whether or not it's comparable with other tools and whether it's actually worth investing in. I decide whether it generally improves my workflow. So one of those elements is obviously the connection with Google Classroom because it's something where I can, import my student and my class lists and things into some of these tools, which makes and saves me a whole heap of time. And my biggest piece of advice here is only to subscribe for 1 month to test the tool. Okay. So I know that there's the tool that the companies are out there and they're saying, hey, if you subscribe for 12 months, you're going to save money. Look, yes, you will. But if you are not using that tool, you are not actually using it more than once, you are wasting your money. So my big tip now, and it's something that I said to my university student recently, was if you're only going to use it for one activity once a year, just purchase a 1-month subscription. All right. Pay the $20, $30, whatever it is, and purchase it for 1 month. Do not make a commitment for 12 months, even though you might be saving a little bit of money. You might be getting 1 month free or whatever it is. Do not do that. It is not worth it. Okay. So, you know, don't think you have to subscribe and commit for 12 months if you're not going to use a tool consistently, whether that's weekly or fortnightly or monthly for the period that you're investing and subscribing to that tool. So technology is an investment, all right? And I absolutely, as I mentioned, there are tools that I invest in, okay? Some of the tools that I do actually subscribe to are Bamboozle. It's one that I have consistently subscribed to because it's great for the classroom because it doesn't require technology other than the teacher device. The other one that I consistently subscribe to is Bingo Card Creator. I do love some bingo cards. So there's 2 tools that I consistently subscribe to. Okay. But there are reasons, there are purposes behind those. I use them more than once a year. Okay. I'm consistently creating new bingo cards. I'm using Bamboozle probably weekly in some form or capacity with my classes. So it is an investment, and it is something that I am happy to make for those two tools. But again, if I was not using them consistently, whether that was daily, fortnightly, weekly, monthly, whatever, I would definitely cancel those tools. So technology is an investment, and I want you to make sure you treat it like one. Don't go out there and invest in every single thing for 12 months. Do not commit all of your money, your hard earned money, for tools that you may not be using or tools that aren't going to have some kind of impact or effect on your workflow or the engagement of your students in your classes. Okay. Technology is a great tool. It is something that I am encouraging you to use for the benefit of our young people moving forward. But don't think that you have to invest in every single thing. You don't have to invest in that great new shiny tool that's just been released and you have seen, a million different ads and features and things on YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. You don't need that. Okay. So treat every single tool as an opportunity, treat it as an investment. Ultimately, it is up to you to make a decision whether you're going to, provide your finances or your budget into, subscribing and utilizing that tool. So let's wrap it up. Just remember that you don't need dozens of subscriptions to create engaging lessons. You don't. You really don't. My biggest tip here is to start small, experiment, and evaluate. All right. So as you've seen tonight, I only subscribe to a couple of different tools, and there are reasons and purposes behind those choices. But you don't need to subscribe to everything. Okay, you don't. Start small, experiment, and evaluate whether that tool is actually beneficial for you as an educator and also leading to those improved student learning outcomes, that engagement's increasing. We're looking at developing all those skills, all those wonderful things that we are always making sure are part of our lessons in our classrooms. Well, there we go. That makes it to the end, and we are just a little tiny bit over time. Episode 26, EdTech on a budget. Budget-friendly tools every teacher should know about. So we've explored 5 tools tonight. We've gone through a whole heap of tips and tricks to help you avoid falling into a trap that I fell into many times and investing in tools that you are not using. All right. So think about some of these ideas that we have explored and discussed tonight. Use my experiences to avoid those particular pitfalls yourself, and really be very careful about those tools that you decide to make a financial investment in. Well, there we go. All right, let's wrap up this episode. We're doing pretty well tonight. We would love for you to stay connected with us here. And if you are a bit of a detective, you might have noticed a few little changes recently, and there'll be some more changes and some more information coming up in the near future. But if you'd like to stay connected with us, you can head over to our brand new website, tristanheron.com, and go out and explore everything that we have on offer. There's so many wonderful things that we have available for you. I'm not going to tell you too much because I'd love for you to go and explore that yourself. If you haven't done so, we would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you are obviously a pretty good observer here, our YouTube channel has had a name change as well. So we've changed it from Evolve EdTech to Tristan Heron. So if you're already subscribed to it, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. We'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's slowly going up, which is fantastic. All right, don't forget that you can connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. We're also over on TikTok. All right, if you'd like to stay connected with us and find out what's happening and see some different videos and tips and tricks and all kinds of things that we like to share with you. Also, if you'd like to catch up on any of our previous episodes of Innovative EdTech, you can head over to our YouTube channel, okay, and check out the Innovative EdTech playlist. And while you're there, give them all a bit of a thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel, it'll make me feel really good and tingly inside when I start to see my subscriber numbers go up. So if you want to go and catch up on those, that would be absolutely amazing as well. All right, and that brings us to the end of episode 26. Woo, 26 episodes already. Okay, now, excuse me, got a frog in the throat again. All right, now, next month, August, this is going to be a really exciting one, and I am keen to jump in here and go and look at a brand new tool that I have been exploring, and this is the wonderful tool known as EdCafe. So next month, we're going to go and have a look at how we can make our teaching easier by exploring the power of EdCafe. All right, so come and join me on Monday, the 10th of August, 2026 at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is based on Melbourne, Australia. We'd love to see you there for episode 27, Teaching Made Easier, Exploring the Power of EdCafe AI. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for episode 26. If you are joining us on the recording, thank you so much for being a part of our journey here. And I look forward to catching up again with you very soon. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Until next time, stay safe.